it's all about the relationship and the connection that you make. But if you don't know, or if it's, your first VA deal or your first deal or whatever, the best thing to do is to connect with the lender and have that connection, because a lot of times if you ask the questions to them, they'll give you the answer.
Right. Janine, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Give or Gain Show. So the Give or Gain Show was created with the intention of giving information to the younger, up-and-coming, not necessarily young in age, but younger to the business agent.
Okay.
And just to kind of tell your story and how you got into the business and some of the specialties about you, because you've done so many great things for the industry.
Thank you.
You've made a lot of amazing contributions.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for
pleasure.
having me.
My pleasure.
For me, I grew up in the business, and my mom's been in real estate for 30-something years. Prior to real estate, I was a nurse, pediatric nurse. I did ER and hospice care, and I've kind of always helped people in that aspect, and I am one of 3 children,
Yes.
so my mom kept pushing me, like, go get your real estate license, you can help me, like, you're helping people in the hospital, you can help people, find a house. And I kept saying no, no, no. And then COVID happened. And I was completely burned out, working nights, 6, sometimes 7 nights a week, 12-hour shifts, not seeing my husband, not being able to take care of myself, not sleeping, all these things. And I said, something has to give. Even though I was giving so much to the profession for nearly 17 years, I didn't feel like it was taking care of me the way I was taking care of it. Yeah. And I called Mom and I said, I gave it some thought, and I think I'm gonna go get my real estate license. And she's like, oh, please, Janine, like, stop messing around. And I said, no, I'm serious. And literally, I feel like that was on a Monday or Tuesday, and then by Friday I was signed up to do the realtor course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and haven't looked back ever since.
Wow. I mean, I remember you going through that at COVID, and I mean, it was just unbelievable, which, is part of it's really part of your testimony in the business because of what you're so committed to in the business, which I love so much. Your husband is a firefighter.
Yes.
And you were a nurse.
Yes.
And, you took care of people. So now you get to kind of do that in the real estate industry.
Yeah, which is, one of the things that people have said is like, oh my gosh, but you do like so many things. How do you like do all these things? And I had to really sit down and talk with a business coach, and was like, in every single aspect of your life, you've always helped somebody. And it, essentially wasn't for you to gain anything out of it. It was so that they would be comfortable, and that they would be stable, and that they would feel at peace, and all these things. And I was like, wow, you know what? I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I just took it as like, oh, I'm going here and I'm doing this, and I'm nursing, and then I'm trying to do real estate, and still keep in keep my fitness and all of that going. And it was like, wow. Until somebody else pointed it out to me, it was like that thing clicked.
Yeah.
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 So it was pretty cool to like have that aha moment.
Absolutely. Growing up, I was in a car accident, and talking about journeys, I was in a car accident, and a young girl passed away in the other car, and it was a very traumatic experience. But I remember being in the hospital, and there was a nurse. I was very scared. I didn't have my family. I was only 13. I didn't have nobody around me, and the nurse came in and kind of like, I'd never experienced a stranger love me like that. It was really wild. She came in and she just kind of put her arms literally under me to calm me down and to keep me feeling safe until my family came. And in that moment, I said I wanted to be a nurse. And it was just my path kind of went a different way. But to what you're saying, I think that when we think about things have to be a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
But really what it was you and I, we just wanted to help people.
Right.
In some capacity, and I found my way through financing, through this industry, and I love it because I get to help people in that way.
Yeah.
You have that same experience. You're just able to do it now in a different way, but still really thrive.
Yeah. And I'm very, very passionate about it, just the same way, I was with, my patients. And I feel like because I dealt with pediatrics in like that realm, you don't just have patient. You have the patient, you have the mother, the father, the brother, the siblings, the grandma, you're honestly caring for the family as a whole, and not just, I have this child that I need to get from here to there. It's like, and learning to be patient and really listen to people, even sometimes when they're not saying the words, that you can see it, you can feel it. You learn, like, body language was really, really big for me.
Yeah.
Paying attention to people's nonverbal, cues and stuff like that. And ironically, it has helped me even in this sense with real estate, because a lot of times people are telling you things and you sense like, there's something else. There's something, that is not, being communicated, or maybe they feel vulnerable. It's the same thing like with my patients. They would feel super vulnerable, and it's like you have to give them that comfort and that, kind of like that zen.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
You have to give them that environment where they're able to openly share with you, so that you can help them achieve what their goal is along the line. So I think that's, like, super important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that takes courage, to be able to intuitively know that and use that skill in real estate. We really are dealing, working with people's emotions. It's an emotional sale a lot of the times, especially with primary homes.
Yeah.
Depending upon what your client's looking to do, there's emotion involved in a lot of the cases. And being able to see and pinpoint that there's something else, that really creates an experience for someone that not everybody has the ability to do, because you're able to get whatever's blocking them open because you had the courage to ask the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
appreciate that.
That's a natural, I don't want to say natural, it's a talent that you developed as a nurse.
Yeah.
And how, and to that point, wherever we are in life is always, I really do believe we always are exactly where we're supposed to be, and everything is developing us,
As you go along.
Yeah, we're being developed.
And sometimes you don't even recognize it. Like, I'll relate it back to this one instance I had in the hospital. And, you deal with people at the most vulnerable time of their life. They're sick, they're miserable, or they just got, like, the worst news. And you just have to be there to comfort them and listen and show them that you really care. And there were a lot of times where we had patients who didn't really portray that, or they weren't at their best. And I mean, I almost thrived on dealing and saw it as a challenge to, like, be assigned to those patients. I was kind of always the buffer in my units. Like, if somebody was irate or mad at, like, a nurse or somebody, they'd be like, okay, Janine, you're up, girl. Like, it's your time to go in and just have
Cue
them.
Janine.
Which is so ironic because, people who know me and know how passionate I am, they were kind of, I don't know, maybe they forgot that about me, or they never saw that side of me. And they're like, really? You helped calm somebody down? And it's like, yeah, because that's what I do. Like, that's my, like, my excitement, my,
it's a gift.
Fulfillment, and knowing that this person is upset, they're not upset with me, and people just want to be heard. And I think that that's, like, a huge thing. So I always had to laugh when they were like, okay, Janine, you're up. Okay.
Cue the
just
girls.
just be myself and be charming and, try to make jokes. And if they don't laugh, just say, well, I didn't really think that was funny either, or, like, things like that, and then kind of just get them to, like, bring their wall down a little bit, and let them know, like, I'm a real person. Yes, I'm a nurse. I'm a realtor. I'm here to help you, but I'm also a real person, and I understand that you have feelings, and this is a huge deal. I mean, think about purchasing your first home.
Yeah, it's big.
Or you've lived in the same place for, like, 15 years, and now you have to sell this home, or you want to sell the home to downsize, the kids moved out, whatever the case may be. All of those emotions are still there.
Yes.
And it's not just the sale of the property. It's like you're standing in the living room where you saw your kids, walk for the first time, or whatever the case may be. And in any aspect, it is an emotional journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just by you saying that, I'm just, as you're saying that, I'm feeling the emotions of one day leaving my home that I've raised my kids in.
don't cry.
No, I won't cry. I can feel it.
I'll hug you.
I know you'll hug. I can always count on you for a hug. But you can, you really do. You can feel it. You can feel it. It's beautiful. I love that part of what we do. I think the thing that's always kept me really focused on my, the end result, which is a satisfied client, is that we're walking them through a process that they don't necessarily know how to go through, because the process changes. Even if they've gone through it before, even it could be 10 years, it's new again.
Right.
And being able to guide people through that, but ultimately we're taking them home.
Yeah.
We're giving them the resources to be able to go home.
Yeah.
And that I love. I love that.
Just like, we heard earlier in the, when Dennis was speaking, having, a lot of times I feel like we have such an ability, and I think that if people tapped into that, and realized that they have the ability as a realtor, to really take somebody home. And if you think about it, and you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, I was able to help that person do that. And then, for me, I start thinking like, in the future, and then they're able to build new memories, and, having that connection with them is huge. It is absolutely huge. And just being a part of their journey and going along with it, and really understanding that they are vulnerable, knowing that we have to build the trust in order for them, to essentially trust us.
Yes.
You have to build it in order to get it.
Yes.
Which I think is really important, especially this, because even if it's $100,000 investment, that's $100,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and when it's when you have to pay for that, and you have to pay for it when you're financially when it's involved with the mortgage or whatever tool they're using.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility that comes, and I always say you got to love the house and the payment, because the payment is going to come every month.
Yep.
And sometimes if you're not financially prepared for that,
Right.
you start to not love the property. And I think having the synergy between everything and having the clarity, and then being able to find the property that fits your housing needs plus financial needs, it really does change people's lives.
Yeah.
It really does.
It makes an experience
Exactly.
out of something that can be so challenging and so daunting. And also, having the power of a team. That to me is huge. Knowing that I can trust my clients with you with my eyes closed, and knowing that you're going to give them the full financial picture and put them on a path to success, that by the time that we are all ready to work to get them, to take them home, that it's a better experience for them. They understand it more. It's not just a matter of just projecting all these numbers, or saying like, you can't afford that house, or that's, it's that they understand. And being able to, in nursing, I relate everything back to nursing, because that was my life prior to this 5 years ago. And, teaching is a huge aspect of nursing. So you have to teach your patients about the meds, or, things about their diet, all these things. If they're going to surgery, like, have to be able to sit there and say, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen after that. When you come out of surgery, you're going to go here, then you're going to go, so just having like a roadmap for them is huge, but having a team that creates that experience and that roadmap for them that's very personalized is a huge thing too.
I agree. I really do believe that it does create a great experience.
Yeah.
That's so important. Now, I know that you, your heart is in the real estate industry now, which is awesome.
Yes.
And you really have put a lot of time and energy into, specifically we have the program called the Hometown Heroes here.
Yes.
And I saw your excitement when that came, and I was really excited about that. It's exciting because you were, when the Hometown Hero money came available, you were just on the front line of that.
Yes.
So it really rang true to you.
Yes.
And then having your husband on the front line as well.
Yes.
I know that it changed.
Yes.
But if you could just talk a little bit about that, when you got the opportunity to help people with that specific program, a spark happened?
Yeah, I think that it was resonated with me, you know, with my husband being fire and military, and just knowing, like, literally these people give selflessly, and what can we do for them? Like, that's how I saw it. It's like, what can we give to them to show them our appreciation as Floridians? When I originally learned about the Hometown Heroes program, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, wow, like we're actually doing this. To be in Tallahassee when they were proposing the bill and presenting it, I mean, it just gives me chills right now. But to be able to sit in the offices of the senators and the House of Reps in Tallahassee and just share stories about clients and customers that we work with, that I see, that, you know, they're so busy working that they can't really focus all of their attention on, you know, okay, I need to, this is the money, and that's, you know, this has to go there and that has to go there. Having that firsthand experience and knowing what that life is like, that, you know, some of them are on shift for 24 hours. Yeah. Some are on for 48, like my husband. Right. But like knowing the challenges that come along with, you know, their dedication to their profession, and being able to say thank you in a way that is just incredible to me. I'm proud of that as us for a state that we were able to do that for them. Yeah, I'm proud of it too. I can tell you it is the best down payment as far as the ability to use the money. Yeah. It was the best program that I've ever witnessed hit the market. Yeah. It really was. It was utilized. Yeah. You know, really, and now it's utilized even faster because they've kind of loosened it up a little bit. Right. And the thing is that, you know, being able to see these people who thought they could never own a home, because how am I supposed to save up $40,000? How am I supposed to save up even $20,000? Like, we're both working, you know, we have kids, you know, whatever the situation was, that they kind of felt a relief. Like, wow, I could own a house, I can afford that. And, you know, and I'm gonna have this assistance with down payment that is something that I probably couldn't afford to do on my own. Just seeing that realized on people's faces really gave me, like, again, chills to be able to go back to Tallahassee and have the ability to share the stories for the second time, but then realize, like, hey, like, we were able to help these people. You know, there's a lot of people who are coming to Florida because it was a free state, because it's beautiful, all of these things, and the state, you know, took it upon themselves to issue additional funds, but then the terms were a little bit, you know, the door was open some, and big influx on people who were able to, if they want to live and work in Florida, they were able to do that. Yep. And own their own home and not have to pay somebody else's mortgage. Right, exactly. They were able to build up equity in their own, and have a sense of fulfillment. And nothing makes me more happier than to see somebody's face who, like, just has pride in the fact that they own a piece of property or own a home or a condo or whatever it may be. Yeah. And I know that you and I both are very committed to debunking the idea around the VA loan. That, oh, mercy. Yes, it is. You know, it's just. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Exactly. I know you're committed to this. I'm committed to this because our veterans, you know, in real estate, it's tend to be that when we submit a VA contract, there's this myth or this limiting belief that it's not, you know, a solid loan or a qualified. It's just not the case. It's literally the best loan on the market. Yes. And we want to just break through that. If you're a listing agent, if you're a buyer, understand the power of the VA loan. Yes. And the entitlement to it doesn't mean that they couldn't get a different loan. It's just that they're entitled to the best loan on the market. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So my kind of catchphrase is, like, haven't they suffered essentially enough? It's like, now you're going to tell them, like, oh, we can't put an offer in this house because it doesn't say VA. Or the cringe moment for me is when an agent says, oh, it's not going to, that's not going to happen. It's like, why? Oh, because the VA, that I'm like, well, what about them?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, this is somebody who served our country.
Right.
Like, you should do everything in your power. We have that ability as realtors. In the lending, I'm sure you can speak on that, if you say a property is VA approved for the loan, it's VA approved.
Right.
The other agent on the other side doesn't get to say it's not. The one thing that I have learned in my journey, and I relate this back to nursing and following up with my patients and all that kind of stuff, is that it's all about the relationship and the connection that you make. And if I see that there's an offer that's coming in VA and we accept it, it's like, you need to make friends with that, the lender. You need to call them, hey, whatever I can do to speed the process along, that's essentially what's going to help the veteran. And it's not really in it for anybody else.
Right.
It's to assist them in the home buying process.
Yes.
We have to do our due diligence.
Right.
Not only as Americans, but also realtors. We owe it to them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that it's just, I really want to debunk the idea that it's just not a good loan. It's the best loan. When an appraiser goes to the property and it's for a veteran, they won't release the appraisal if it's low. They give the agents an opportunity to show additional comps or support value. Right. I mean, and the VA loan is the most lenient loan. I mean, the VA gives the most lenient guidelines to be able to help as many veterans as possible become homeowners. So, just not having that, it's just an old myth that the seller has to pay extra and all this other stuff that goes along with it. It's property related. There's very few things property related that have to do with VA loans. If it's a safety issue, it's going to be a safety issue on any loan, not just the VA. So I just think having the knowledge out there, getting the knowledge out there, it's a great loan, and we need to get that whole...
Yeah, that and, and the challenge that I had faced a few months back with a deal that I was working on was that, you have to, and again, it goes back to our due diligence as, realtors and being in the industry, to have that open line of communication with everybody. There were things that was kind of like, oh, well, we're going to request that doesn't happen, or we're going to talk to the VA about it. And it's like, it's for the betterment of the veteran at that point. If they're asking for a document, just give it to them.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
If they're asking for that piece of paper, just give them a piece
Even
of paper.
Even if it did take a second more, let's do it. Right.
Right. Because it's for
a veteran.
Essentially, if you're representing the seller, you want to make sure that your seller is getting, the maximum amount of return on their investment, but also too that the veteran, if they're the buyer, that they are getting a safe and sufficient home. And a lot of times I think we stand in our own way with that. We see the VA and it's like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
No.
And
I'm
if you
looking
don't
forward to it
know,
changing.
if you don't know a question, always ask. That's my other, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
But if you don't know, or if it's, your first VA deal or your first deal or whatever, the best thing to do is to connect with the lender, and have that connection. Because a lot of times if you ask the questions to them, they'll give you the answer. Right. Yeah, because they know.
Exactly. It's just time for that to kind of go away as far as that whole conversation. We have a responsibility to our veterans, and the reality is that it is the best loan, and the opportunity for the seller and the buyer are great. Yes. Yeah. So, and you do a lot with the state, and tell me a little bit about your role right now. You're here. We're at the association. You're a chair here, correct?
Yes. So I am a governor with Miami Association of Realtors, JTHS, which is our Jupiter location, and I am also a state director of Florida Realtors. So I have that opportunity to go to Tallahassee, to go to Orlando, and kind of work on what the challenges are for homeowners right now, small business owners, that's a big thing. Business rent tax, that was a huge initiative of ours. So we were able to get it from 6% to 2%.
That's big.
Hopefully, they're waiting till things kind of go through the process, but we would like to eliminate that altogether.
Yeah.
That happens because realtors are very passionate about those things, and I have to take time away from my business and my family, but I feel that it's worth it because those 3 short days that I'm in Tallahassee advocating for Florida on a whole is worth it to me.
Yeah.
And my family understands it and they appreciate it, and they can tell, their friends or their
Right.
coworkers or whoever, like, oh, Janine, she's in Tallahassee. It's like, oh, wasn't she just there? Yeah, there's a lot of work, It's
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's
And
worth
it really is a selfless thing to do because you could just spend the time on your business, but you truly do care about the industry.
Yeah. I also feel that, like, if I'm not there protecting our profession, protecting property rights and all these other things that come with it, I don't have a profession.
Right? Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like you have to be able to invest in it in order to get the benefits.
And the returns are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the returns are great. And you always have such great information because you're frontline. You're getting information firsthand. You get to meet a lot of really amazing people.
Yes.
And they get
I
to meet you.
remember calling you on the way. I think we were leaving Tallahassee, and I'm like, they're going to allocate more money
Yes,
to the
I know.
And you're like, okay, wait a second. And then you're like, oh my gosh, yes. And then just
Yeah,
the
it's exciting.
excitement to be able to share that is incredible. And
Yeah.
to be able to then share that, like, once we get all of our facts and everything, together in a very short period of time, then we're able to share it with other people.
Yeah.
And it makes it even more exciting.
And make an impact.
Yeah.
Be there as the voice, doing good for the
Yes.
industry, and then being able to share that locally here at the local board and to your clients and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big contribution, so I thank you for that. I know
pleasure.
that, it's a big contribution and it's a big sacrifice, so thank you for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So if you could look forward, let's say it's many years from now and you're looking back on your business, what is something that you would really want people to remember you for in your career?
Advocacy is a huge thing for me. And I feel like with advocacy, it's so much more than just that word. It's being able to listen to people and listen to what their needs are and what their challenges are, and being able to give a voice to that. A lot of times people, can't, or feel maybe they don't have it in them, or whatever the case may be. Everybody's situation is different, but just knowing that they're heard and that I played a very small part in able to get them to where they needed to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So advocacy for me is huge.
Yeah. And any niche in the market that I know the VA and the Hometown Heroes, but anything else you're focused on in the industry?
I love working with first-time homebuyers. Again,
You do have a beautiful knack for that.
Well, thank you.
Because you're fun. You make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Explaining things to them when they ask questions, not getting frustrated, like, oh my God, like getting excited. Like, I love when they ask questions. Also, too, it's incredible to be able to see them fulfill one of their dreams of owning a home, and to do that for the first time. I had a client of mine who just thought, like, oh, there's no way I could ever purchase a house. And she has 2 dogs, and she's like, her dogs are her life, and they go with her wherever. And I said, we're gonna find you something. We have to just, you worked with her as well,
Yes.
got her through the process. We were all ready to go. And we were able to find her a unicorn. And now her dogs have a 40 by 20 backyard to run freely in. And she's in a new construction. And so, her family feels like, okay, she's in a new construction. She's, for the most part, the safety mechanism is kind of, solid and taken care of. And, to see the look on their face, that, like, knowing that their daughter was able to achieve that is huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, first-time homebuyers for sure. I feel like, again, relating it back to being a nurse, working with, my pediatric patients, it's like, they're not going to understand things if you tell them up at this level. Does it make me look smart? Maybe. But the reality is that they're going to be like, I have no idea what the heck she just said.
Right.
Or some of them cry.
Yeah,
or whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's like knowing that, you know, you can be vulnerable, and this is, it's like cliche, like this is a safe space, but like knowing that they are free to ask me any kind of questions, and it's not just about getting them to the closing table, it's the follow-up afterward, it's the conversations, like, hey, what's going on, you know?
Yeah. The relationship.
So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's genuine. It's genuine and authentic. It's something, I know you really care about people. You're just able to use those skills now in a different industry, and congratulations on your success and all the contributions you're making.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Janine. Talk to you soon.